Chelsea C or USH PSG 3-0 in first half. Club World Cup final breakdown in a final few saw coming. Chelsea Football Club produced one of the most dominant performances in recent memory, dismantling Paris Saint-Germain with 3 goals in the first half to win the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup. This wasn't just a win, it was a statement, a tactical masterclass from a team many had written off. And when the smoke cleared, Chelsea stood on top of the football world. Let's break down exactly how it happened. The stage was set, all eyes on the final between two European giants, Chelsea and PSG, fresh off a Champions League triumph, stacked with superstars like Ousmane Dembele, Vitinha, João Neves, and Georgian sensation Kvaratskhelia. MetLife Stadium, New Jersey. The first edition of FIFA's expanded Club World Cup. A packed house. On paper, PSG were the favorites. Chelsea, a young team under new coach Enzo Maresca. Talented, yes, but still finding their identity. Or so we thought. The starting lineups, the midfield trio of Neves, Vitinha, and Fabian Ruiz. And up front, a pacey, technical trio of Doué, Dembele, and Kvaratskhelia. Maresca sent out a fearless lineup. Robert Sanchez in goal. A back four of Malo Gusto, Trevoh Chalobah, Levi Colwill, and Marc Cucurella. Moises Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez anchored the midfield with Reece James playing an advanced role. Up top, the fluid front three of Pedro Neto, Cole Palmer, and João Pedro. A mirror image of the first, cut inside, beat his man, and fired low into the same corner. 2 shots, 2 goals. PSG were shell-shocked, cool, clinical, calculated. Luis Enrique's PSG featured Donnarumma in goal, a strong backline of Hakimi, Marquinhos, Beraldo, and Nuno Mendes. A slick 1-2 with Palmer sliced through PSG's defense, and Pedro calmly chipped the onrushing keeper, and within 25 minutes, they were on the scoreboard. But names on paper don't win football matches. Intensity does, structure does, execution does. And that's where Chelsea excelled. A first-half masterclass. Caicedo and Fernandez doubled up on Dembele. Cucurella tracked every Kvaratskhelia run. Trevoh Chalobah, in his best game yet, made key interventions to stop PSG's build-up play. Reece James moved into midfield, creating a 3-5 shape that overloaded PSG's flanks. From the opening whistle, Chelsea were fearless. They pressed high. They dominated second balls. They forced PSG into mistakes. Cole Palmer picked up the ball just outside the box, created a yard of space, and slotted it low past Donnarumma's near post. And the players on the pitch couldn't rise to the occasion. PSG tried to respond, but their attacks were disjointed. Chelsea's midfield trio completely nullified their creativity. Then, just minutes later, Palmer did it again. Luis Enrique appeared to push João Pedro during the handshake line. Words were exchanged. Staff had to separate both sides. And when the final whistle blew, it was Chelsea who lifted the trophy. PSG didn't even register a goal. But Chelsea weren't done. Before halftime, João Pedro made it 3 goals. 1 half. Against the champions of Europe, Robert Sanchez took home the Golden Glove. Enzo Maresca cemented his identity as a tactical visionary. Second yellow, red card, PSG down to 10. Tactical breakdown. So how did Chelsea pull this off? It started with Enzo Maresca's tactical shape. Chelsea's nominal 4-3-3 shifted constantly in possession. Palmer was given total freedom, floating between lines, drawing defenders, and opening space for Pedro Neto and João Pedro to exploit. Defensively, Chelsea pressed as a unit. It was modern football at its finest. High pressing, positional rotation, and relentless tempo. PSG collapse and frustration. Luis Enrique's side had no answers. By the second half, they looked mentally drained. João Neves, already booked, lashed out in frustration. Tugging Marc Cucurella's hair in front of the ref, frustration boiled over. Tensions rose. Post-match fireworks, the drama didn't end there. As Chelsea players celebrated, a heated altercation broke out. And at one of the most surreal moments in modern football, former U.S. President Donald Trump, now back in office, joined FIFA President Gianni Infantino on the podium to hand Chelsea the trophy. It was a snapshot of football's new global reality, sport, politics, and power on the same stage. The legacy of the win. This was more than a trophy. It was a declaration. Cole Palmer, 2 goals and 1 assist, won the Golden Ball. Chelsea, written off as inconsistent and inexperienced, had just crushed one of Europe's biggest clubs on the biggest international stage, and they did it in 45 minutes. So what now? For Chelsea, the future is bright. The squad is young, hungry, and battle-tested. For PSG, the questions remain. Are they still mentally fragile in big games? Or was this just a bad day against a perfect storm? One thing is for sure, the 2025 Club World Cup final won't be forgotten anytime soon. This is AutoTube Insider, bringing you faceless deep dives into football's most shocking moments. Subscribe for more, and tell us in the comments, was this Chelsea's most dominant display of the decade, or is PSG's dynasty crumbling?